Dr. Jeff, welcome to the show.
TC, it's great to be here.
Dr. Jeff, I have to tell you, I'm incredibly honored, but I'm incredibly excited that you have agreed to come on our show today. And you've written this incredible book, Mercy Leader.
Amen.
It's such an anointed title. Tell us a little bit about your book.
You know, TC, back in 2007, God birthed Mercy Leader into my heart. And unfortunately, like a lot of people, I sat on that dream. But until recently, I wanted to kind of revive that dream and get that out there. And really, Mercy Leader is the only style of leadership in the nations that talks about forgiveness and leadership. You know, as a Christian, Christ forgave me for my sins. And as a leader, why can't I extend that to people that I serve? And so that's what that's about. It's the unique part of leadership that incorporates forgiveness.
Well, let me tell you something. I have been in business for most of my adult life. And business, to me, it's a contact sport. It can be brutal.
Oh, yeah.
In business.
Right.
It can be unforgiving.
Sure.
In business. And here you are. God has laid this on your heart to write this book on mercy leadership. And before we go and do a deep dive on that, tell us a little bit about you and your background.
Yeah, I appreciate that. You know, I am a preacher's son. So I grew up in the church. I've seen my dad as a leader in the church. And as I've evolved into my career, so I started out in healthcare. I'm a registered nurse. I'm also a healthcare executive. And so as a CEO of a hospital, I've been around a lot of leaders in different styles of leadership. And so I really felt like that as I've evolved into this career, God's really put this uniqueness of leadership into my heart to share to the nations. And that's why I'm here today, is to share Mercy Leader to the nations.
Right, but before you do that, you're the CEO of a hospital.
Absolutely.
God has raised you up to be a CEO of a hospital. Do you want to shout out your hospital group?
Yeah.
I'm sure they're watching.
Oh, absolutely. Select Specialty Hospital Tri-Cities there in Bristol, Tennessee. I also support 3 other hospitals. I'm a regional CEO. So I work for Select Medical, which is a great company, and I've been very blessed to be with them.
Right. Now, you also pastor a church.
I'm a little bit busy, TC, so so I serve.
Throw a shout out to your church.
Adoration Church of God. I just am been there for years. I'm an administrative pastor there, so I serve those people during the week and on the weekend. I'm very blessed to do that, as well as a CEO of the hospital.
Right. Well, congratulations on that. Let's shift on into this topic on leadership. Obviously, God has raised you up
Absolutely.
in this hour and given you a message on mercy leadership. So when did he give you that dream? When did he birth that into you? I'm curious about that part
Yeah, absolutely.
of the story.
I was working on my doctorate degree through Regent University, and I had to write a doctoral project. So I really searched to see what was the right type of project, the correct one. I wanted to pass, TC, so I had to find the right topic. But really, as I started to research leadership, which is what my degree is in, there's nothing else about forgiveness in leadership. And so I really felt God was calling me to pen something about forgiveness and leadership. And so he did. And so I completed that project. But as I've kind of evolved over my leadership career and evolved as a mercy leader, I've seen that in this country, especially in this country, there needs to be more value for employees. Love, compassion, mercy, forgiveness, those type of things, servanthood. And so as I've looked at those and tried to combine those characteristics together, this new version, Mercy Leader, comes out, and I'm challenging leaders. I'm challenging leaders, TC, to be a mercy leader. Not to just be a leader and to be a boss or a judgmental leader or someone that points your finger at people and say, do this, but to show forgiveness and show value, because I think people in this day and time are really wanting to work for someone that really values them as a team member and not just a number in the organization.
Right. Here's what I want to talk to you about, right? Because you talk about mercy, leadership, and you talk about forgiveness. Mm-hmm. Vicki and I entered into a partnership with a partner with the first company that we built. We built it to $1.3 million in sales in the first 6 months of business. And he was running the administrative side of our company. We were running the sales side of the company. He terminated our partnership within 6 months. Now, you're talking about a valuation of a $10 million company that we lost, to this gentleman. and you talk about mercy leadership. Listen, I wanted to take him to the South Side.
Sure.
You talk about forgiveness.
Sure.
Listen, I believe in the Old Testament, the laying on of hands. I wanted to lay hands on that man.
Right.
I'm being candid with you. And there's people that are watching this that had been taken advantage of in business, like my wife and I. And the last thing you want to do is to forgive what you're talking about here. But I knew that if I didn't forgive that man, he had the company. I was determined not to let him have our future.
Right.
Is that what you're talking about, forgiveness in this leadership? Is that part of what you're talking
It's
about?
part of it, TC, because forgiveness is so powerful.
It is.
It's powerful.
But it's not easy.
It's not easy, and that's the challenge, because in the book that I write about, that it's easy to be judgmental.
Right.
It's easy to write somebody off. It's easy not to address certain things within the organization from a loving perspective or a compassionate perspective, because you'd rather just be done with it and not spend the time on it. But to be a merciful leader, to invest into people, that takes time, that takes a willingness, that takes effort. And if you're not willing to do that, those people may leave the organization. In your own life, just what you did as far as extending
Right.
forgiveness, that's crucial, because maybe it didn't impact the person that you extended forgiveness to, but it impacted you personally, and now look where you're at. And look what God's doing and what God's blessing you with, because you did the right thing. You extended forgiveness to someone that did something wrong.
Right. If I would not have forgiven that man, I'd be sitting on the bar stool talking about that skunk partner that took my multi-million-dollar company.
Right.
But because I forgave, and I'm going to tell you something, Dr. Jeff, forgiveness for me was not a one-time event with this man. I would have to forgive him every single night. Every single night, because the nighttime was the worst time for me, because then these thoughts came into my head. And I
Right.
think forgiveness, is it ever wrong in business to walk in this forgiveness spirit?
I don't think it is. And one thing I address in the book, TC, is that sometimes you have to be forgiving to the organization, because there's times where you invest in people and invest in
Right.
people and invest in people, but they don't want to get better, or they continue to walk down a path that's not good for the organization. So I think forgiveness can be extended in a different way, where you're showing mercy to the organization by helping that person leave. Now that may sound counterintuitive, but it's actually not, because you've extended forgiveness, you've extended love and compassion to that person, but as they continue down that path, that's their choice then, and now you have to protect the organization, so you have to be merciful to the organization.
Right. It's interesting, because I find that in business, that when I am humble and kind
Right.
and merciful, that it seems like it's always the correct way to go. And on the flip side of that, I like to take them to the South Side, right?
Right.
I'm unapologetic. I'm candid. I'm direct. But you're teaching us there's a better way.
Absolutely.
There's a better way. You can still be direct. You can still be candid, but you want to sprinkle that with some mercy. Is what you're
Absolutely.
saying. That's not only is that the better way to go, it's the biblical way to go. Is that
Absolutely.
right?
Exactly right. And that's what Christ has done for me. That's what Christ has done for you. We know His direction. We know His expectations, but He's handed us and given us mercy and forgiveness. And I appreciate that, TC.
Dr. Jeff, do you feel that God is moving in this hour and calling His leaders, especially in the realm of business, to operate in this gift of mercy? Do you think that He's calling people?
Yes, I absolutely do. I really think in this time, because this is a troubled time, if you look around, it's a troubled time, and people are seeking direction. So whether it's in their lives at home or in lives in business, they're seeking direction. And what better way to give it than to give it in a way that God has given it to us, in a way that shows value. And that's really the whole component of merciful leadership, is showing value, showing them that they're valued within the organization, showing them that you care. And when you do that, people want to be there. They want to
Right.
stay there. They want to serve you as a leader.
Right. What do you think God has raised you up in this hour to do? You have a coaching program as well
Right.
that you are coaching business leaders in. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure, I'm a leader developer. That's my title. I love leadership development, TC. I love to train people. I train CEOs for my hospital, for my company. I have a COO program at my hospital where I train, and that's my wheelhouse because I want to encourage people to be better. And when they get better, they bring things to me, TC, that I still learn from. I get better. And so that's really my goal, is to help others, encourage others to get better, to go after their God-given dreams. You know, a few weeks ago, somebody named T.C. Bradley came into my life, and he reignited a passion within me to take my dreams, my God-given dreams, and to open my vault, and that's what I want to do to the nations.
And now you're here. Speaking of the nations, right now this show is being broadcast to over 200 nations, Dr.
Sure.
Jeff. What I want you to do at this moment in time is look into that camera at home, and I want you to speak to over 200 nations, because God has anointed you,
Sure.
and He's appointed you in this very hour, in this very moment, to give them a message of hope, of encouragement,
Absolutely.
of mercy. So take your lead and speak your truth.
Absolutely. It's my honor to be here today and to encourage you. It's my goal to encourage you. You know, I've sat in your chair or your seat. I've watched people on TV. My fuel has been ignited to go after my God-given dream, and then all of a sudden that fuel has burned out because of a lack of commitment on my part. One thing that came to my mind is that you can't be successful on other people's commitment. You have to have your own, and you have to go after it with all the energy and might you have. And I will tell you, it will not make sense at times. And at times, even recently for me, it didn't make sense. But God is calling you to go after your God-given dream, to open your vault, and to let Him move in your life. It's not going to make sense. It's not going to come together like you think it is sometimes. But if God's in it, everything is possible.
You get me ready to run
Absolutely.
or run off stage and tackle something.
I may run with you, TC. I may run with you.
Dr. Jeff, I loved having you on the show. Will you come back and see me?
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. God bless.